people who want to know what is the Keith Andrew Network, the whole point of my talk show is to show you that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something. And at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities, and never give up and prove people wrong. Prove to them that labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be, so prove them, still amount to something.
Hey folks, this is Christopher Emrich, and you now will be joining me on the Keith Andrew Network show on his podcast. Highly recommend him. Awesome, fun, laid-back show. If you just want to hear some good old conversation, go ahead and join us.
Now, the first question I can do it again. 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the one and only Keith Andrew Network. We're on the road to 2,000. This episode is 1,000. And I actually believe this episode is, 1,023. So I did 1,000 out of 1,023 episodes. Not bad for having someone being on the spectrum of being disabled. That being said, you heard from our recommendation from our great guests. So the first question I want to ask is, tell our audience a little bit about yourself and the kind of work that you do.
Alrighty. Well, my name is Christopher James Emrich. I am from Raleigh, North Carolina, and I am a video production company owner. I am a film producer and an actor. I got back involved. Oh, that had been 2007, I believe. I submitted for a Marvel role, and I was one of 8 selections that was going to go to Manhattan. I was going to do a stage combat simulation along with my regular verbal audition. And come to find out, they called a week prior to, and they found their guy. And come to find out, it was Tobey Maguire. So I was really disappointed. And being young and being able, not dealing with rejection too well, it barred on me pretty good. And it wasn't as of, I think, the age of 35. I'm 38 now. That I decided to rechase the dream because my degree, my education is very fluent in acting in the film world. And I've climbed the ladder pretty quickly. I've done some pretty awesome things. I was in Halloween Kills. I've worked with people like Russell Crowe, Jerry Bruckheimer. The list goes on. Anthony Michael Hall. I have a few bigger projects coming up, which we can discuss in a little bit. But I've definitely climbed the ladder, and I've done some fun things. I've been nationally televised a couple of times with Twisted Tea commercials and a couple of Oxygen shows and some Lifetime stuff. Just getting up and slowly building up that ladder. And here I am today. I'm a producer for a multi-million-dollar film. I can't put so much on that. I really do have to be fragile with that because I have NDAs out there, and those magical pieces of paper tell you what you can and cannot say. But it is some big stuff. It is with some named people, and it is a multi-million-dollar film. That's what I can say so far.
And I'm available to hire. You don't have to pay me. I'm available to start whenever you need me.
Hey, it's funny because at the end of the day, man, that's not even a joke. Like if you ever wanted to get on a film set and you wanted to make something happen and get a taste of what it's really like. And I think it's really funny because people don't actually realize the amount of time that comes into it. When we tackle a film project. So now I'll use this one for example. It is called Ma's Kitchen. And I can list the celebrities that are going to be in it, the mains at least. One is either going to be Lucy Liu or we're going to go for Lena Condor. So those are the two. It's a Vietnamese film. It's about a friend of mine. She wrote the script and what it's like to come from another country and still try to maintain your culture and your ethnicity and the way you were brought up, while being in a completely different country where the culture is entirely different. So it's very well written, very dramatic, very, very, just very heartfelt. So it's a great script. But when you're sitting there putting in, 12, 14, 16-hour days, it's long, it's tedious. And it's funny because you can spend, I think our projected film days are 35 to 37 days. And that's just to make an hour and a half long movie. So it's like I think people don't really get that grasp of like how much is actually involved and what's actually entailed with making film. It's a lot of work. It will drag you through the ringer, but when you see the end result, there's so much reward behind it that it really makes it just worth every hour you've spent doing it.
Well, if you're willing, give me an opportunity, and I learn at a slower pace, but I promise you this, I will give you the best performance you have ever seen. I'm a little slow, but once I get going, I'm a great candidate to have around.
Fantastic, fantastic. Maybe if we can make that trip up to New York, man, I'll just bring you down with me. It is set to film in L.A. and here in Raleigh, well, the Raleigh area. Of course, can't give exact location, but it's in those two areas.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to ask you about Lucy Liu because you really caught my interest. I love Lucy Liu. She is the best. She was the best part out of Charlie's Angels. You know, you have Cameron Diaz and you have the other one, but I really liked Lucy Liu. So with that being said, out of trying to think without hurting myself, if that's possible, you
Hey, fun, take
mentioned
time.
you mentioned Lucy Liu and Russell Crowe. What was the experience of first meeting them, and do you guys still keep in touch?
What do you, oh, as far as no, more or less when you're on set, there's a there's a borderline of professionalism. Actually, it was
Yeah.
really funny. Like someone like Jerry Bruckheimer. I was in Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina, and I was just standing there. I was actually James Badge's stand-in for Hightown season 2. And I was just sitting there, no idea. I just thought it was some nice guy that walked up and just started chatting with me. And you just get caught in those conversations. And then, of course, once you go back, the extras in the background are like, dude, you were just talking to Jerry Bruckheimer. And I'm like, oh, was I? I was like, honestly, I just thought it was just some really nice guy who just wanted to, like shoot the shit with me. So I'm an open conversationalist. Anything you ever ask, I always have an answer for. But I'm looking forward to working with Lucy Liu. Do I know, I know what films she's done. I do know she is just like every one of us. We sit there and the workflow and the grind, and you sit there and earn your way up into this film world. Some people think it's easy. It's a lot. It really is. You really have to be determined, and you really have to pull down deep in the burrows to of just constantly staying on it and staying moving and staying in the film world networking. So I do look forward to working with her. I hear she's absolutely an angel to work with. So I mean, of course, that keeps the excitement there. Some of them, I'm not going to list names, but some of them are not as pleasant to work with. Some of them are a little high maintenance at times, but all in all, when you do get to meet the pleasant ones, like Anthony Michael Hall, hands down was probably the coolest one. Jamie Lee Curtis, she was fantastic as well on Halloween. When we walked into the studio for Halloween Kills, you could hear her on the other side. They had her integrated to a hospital bed, and you could hear her scream. And I'm going to use some bad words here, so I'm going to edit this, but these are her words, not my words. But she literally yells across the studio on the top of her lungs. She goes, "Oh my fucking God, more fake blood." And then she let out this howling scream. And like the crew, everyone's just like looking around like, oh, is she okay? Like, there's a reason why she's the scream queen. And it really lived up. She lived up to it when we walked out on set the first day. So it was awesome.
Well, I have a similar funny story if you like to hear it.
I love it.
When I worked over at Walmart, it's when not the first time I got it. Oh, this is actually the question I'm going to ask you after. It was during the pandemic. So this is about the second time I got the virus. And I actually had a brain fart about the virus, but it's called the virus. I had that, then I had the flu on top of that. Like, Keith, we need you to come in. It doesn't matter. If you need to throw up, take a take a throw up break. But we need you to come in. I'm like, fine. Walking to the bathroom. Before I got to the bathroom, I'm like, can you cover me? I have to go. We have to go. I have to go. Walk to the bathroom. I went like this. Walk it off. Walk it off. I didn't know there was a black gentleman behind me. So I made up in my mind before that if I can make it to the stall, if I can't make it to the stall, make it to the sink. And both things were occupied. So I grabbed the corner, ran around like this to the garbage can. The exact words the black guy behind me said, I don't know his name, but nothing personal. The black gentleman behind me said, oh, fuck this. It's like, I don't have time for this. Actually, no, I correct it. Oh, hell no. I don't have time for this. He walks out. His wife said to him in exact words, at this point, I started to laugh, and I shouldn't have. His wife said, I thought you said you had to use the bathroom. You have some crazy ass employee throwing up in the garbage can, and the place smells like shit. This place is disgusting. At the same time, my manager came over, and he's like, well, we kind of figured who's in the bathroom throwing up. Luckily, he laughed it off, but I couldn't plan it any better. Round the corner. Oh, hell no. I don't have time for this fucking shit.
Hey man, just tell them the urinal wasn't an option. Be like, I knew it wasn't going to flush those chunks down.
I mean, I know it's so horrible. He's like, oh, well, you were going to throw up in the sink? Well, I was going to use Drano. I was going to use disinfectant. But when you're sick, you don't think. It could have been worse. I could have
just know that it needs, whatever it is, it just needs to get out of you.
That's true. What about you? Do you have any funny throw up stories?
Honestly, the only time, even as of late, I'd have to say within even if I'm drinking, like you get to a certain point as an adult, you just know what to mix, what not to mix. So I don't get drunk and throw up. The last time I actually threw up was the norovirus, and that was 2015, somewhere around there, 2014, 16, somewhere within that range. But I was sitting on the toilet with a trash can in front of me, and of course sitting on the toilet. That was a nightmare. I couldn't get off of it. I couldn't leave it. It was like I just turned my bathroom into my home, and I just kind of stayed there. Or you just like lay in the bathtub and just let whatever comes out just come out. Like turn the water on once in a while to clean yourself off, but just sit there. But I'm just kidding. I didn't actually lay in the bathtub. But that's actually the last time I threw up. It's probably the worst thing, because it leaves like your chest and your throat sore, and you're just like, oh God, that's a nightmare. I don't wish throwing up on anybody. Yeah, no fun. It's just no fun. But unless you're drunk, and if you ask for it, if you're sitting there throwing down this and that's as far as beverages, and you're putting this giant concoction into your stomach, then you get what you ask for.
Yeah.
I've learned to play it clean. If I'm drinking, it's just tequila with club soda and a lime, or just straight up tequila. And I would rather pace myself on that. Why? Because I'm not going to get a hangover. I'm not going to throw it up. And just make sure you have a little bit of food, something solid in your stomach. You'll be all right. So I do try to avoid. Huh?
Eat bread.
Yeah, have some bread. Eat a sandwich. Have a nice Italian hoagie or something.
Are you just happy you picked my show?
Yeah, I'm very happy I picked your show. I know we were sitting there, and I've been so busy, and I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, all right, so this film that we have going into pre-production, we're going into pre-production starting this week. And when you mentioned, I know I was busy back then, and I'm like, all right, we're going to find a way to make this happen. And that's why I said, hey, you got time this weekend? We can certainly knock it out. But over the course of they're projecting 62 to 67 total days, that I'll have one day off a week. They're going to be 6-day weeks. I'll be pulling 12 to 16-hour days. And I'm like, okay, you're never really going to have time, because, of course, that one day off, I'm either going to be home with my family or going out with friends, or just maybe sleep all day, whatever really comes to hand,
I mean, the worst time, well, let's go answer that first question. Even for my show, I've been doing this for 10 years, 24/7. I'm Mike the Rock. I listen to the rock, clanging and banging. You have a pulse in your arm. You have a heartbeat. You can breathe. And that's Busher and no catchphrase, right? You get the idea. But you feel so ingenerated. It's this energy, it's like clanging and banging, heart pounded. This is what you want to do. And for 10 years, people are like, aren't you bored? Aren't you tired? I interviewed some great people that I really like yourself, not kissing your ass or anything. I interviewed a lot of people who are like, all right, they served their purpose. Interviewed some people who are like, who like the guy on the line from Man's Family. Who are you? Who moved the rock? So you think about 1,000 people that I met, officially interviewed. Plus, all those people that I met and a lot of drama about that. I probably met about two, maybe 3,000 people during the 10 years. But this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. This is something that I created, and I show people with a disability. Hey, I read and learn at a fifth grade high school level. I fall under the spectrum of being retarded. But 1,023 episodes and a lot of big names I had on the show, I actually found something. So to tell them that I actually this, when you started your talk show company, when you started your company, were people supportive? And did you really think it would be so massive?
No, I'm going to say no with that. When we first started, we were just a bunch of local indie filmmakers. I had this brilliant idea. I was like, oh man, I said, all right, so what are these named actors doing that you could use to cross promote yourself? Open up a video production company. I noticed your Jason Momoa's, your Jessica Biel's, and your Justin Timberlake's. They all own video production companies. Your music. As long as you're in entertainment, you have a video production company. Why? Because you never know when you need someone to follow you with a camera. Eventually you get to that point where you want to do your own documentaries and have your own footage of your life. So you buy your own equipment and you hire your own crew, and then they just kind of follow you around and video you. So I said, okay, I will start it out by using it to cross promote myself. But did I have a following? Did I have people, encouraging me? Of course, family and friends, but they also didn't see that severity of things until you start getting on the bigger film sets. You start meeting bigger named people, and then they're like, whoa, Chris is doing his thing. Like, yeah, well, that's what I did. And honestly, it's networking. Like, people always think you have to be a great actor to be a great producer. No, you have to be a people person. You're an actor, you're an entertainer. You have to be able to consume people in with your conversations and be able to pull them in. And if that ability really helps. And honestly, I was stuck in restaurants for a number of years. I was a chef for 9 years. Me and my wife owned a restaurant. And once I got out of that, I was like, nope, gun ho. I'm going to find a way to support my family, dictate my schedule, and be able to chase my dream. So, I put all my efforts into it, and I'm just saying, after 3.5 years, it's finally starting to pay off. So, I mean, that's like saying you had a great following when you first started. Nah, nobody does when yeah, like it's if you can be hit or miss, but eventually you start getting that development, you start getting that supportive group that people that really like to watch your shows, just like social media presence. I used to sit there and post everything that I'd be doing, but unless it's a major project, then I'll throw it up there. But I believe in being quiet and then letting people be like, oh, I knew that guy.
And
So
that's true. No, that's true. And a lot of people are like, why? You hear this meme on Instagram. Why are you famous yet? Well, you're not sharing my shit.
yeah,
When I have someone on my show, I ask, of course, let me ask you this. When you do a film, and I know a film's different from a talk show, but when you have, well, use me for an example. You work with me. Do you expect me to share it and promote it and tell people and bring my audience, regardless if I had a show or not, but bring people to what you created? Or is it the person that created the film, it falls on his responsibility? Or is it both?
you're always going to cross promote anything you do. Whether it's your project or not, if you're involved, you should share it. Um, I do know that some people that do like Indiegogos and this and that, they'll get upset because they want you to go ask people for money. It's like, no, that's not my project. I might be part of it, but I'm not going to ask my people for money to support something that I'm doing. And I get that, but if it's your project, you're the director, producer of your indie film, then no, you should be the one chasing the money. Don't take it out on your talent. But I've had someone mouth off, and I chimed in, and I did end up backing out of the project. I won't name drop out of respect because I do respect everyone in my community. But I backed out of the project, and I said, you can't pinpoint and blame other people for not sharing, as far as money. Now, as far as the film and your final product, yes, of course, I'm going to cross promote that. I have no problem doing that. That's something I'm attached with. I'm proud of everybody else that I worked with, so I have no problem sharing it at that point. But yeah, that's where I'm at with that. Like it's you should, as long as it's part of the if you're part of the project, you should share it.
Oh, I agree. And there's so many people who I interviewed. They're like, well, you're the host. You're doing this. This is your responsibility. But then it would bitch and complain saying, why is my interview not getting any views? Or if just, the world's smallest violin, I was supposed to be on Fox. I was supposed to be doing this. And it's my fault. To use me for an excuse. Like, I was supposed to be on Fox and supposed to be on the show Touch. But because of you, Keith, because I was on your show, I'm now not able to. What the hell did I do? And it's kind of like, what I mean? And not to complain to you, it's kind of like it's easy to blame someone and not take responsibility for it. When you're on my show, I expect you to be professional and share it, tell your management, tell your publicist before you sign that form, just like you did. Before you
Yeah.
sign that form, tell anyone that you're working with, I will support this person because he has a disability. But yeah, for some reason, if you like around Vince McMahon, if you sneeze the wrong way, by the way, funny fact, Vince McMahon hates people that sneezes. Yeah,
Really?
he's weird. Uh,
You want to know a really funny fact?
what's that?
I got a funnier fact. How about that? So my stepfather, when I was growing up, there's a restaurant on Six Forks Road here in Raleigh, North Carolina. It's called Vinny's Steakhouse. My stepdad ran the kitchen over there, and that's how I got involved with the restaurant world. A gentleman by the name of Dusty, was good friends with Vince McMahon, and he's the one who gave him the money to open up that restaurant. So of course, inside of and it's a wonderful steakhouse. Even to this day, if you go there and get a bite to eat, it's a fantastic steak. But when my stepdad met my mom, he looked at me and my best friend, and he goes, "Do you guys want to go to a wrestling event?" I said, "Yeah." Like we're kids. We had the trampoline in the backyard. We used to jump out of trees and like elbow drop each other. We put ring posts and like it was a fun time as kids. But of course, he calls Linda McMahon personally, and she gets front row tickets. So I mean, I've met Stone Cold, Legion of Doom, Flash Funk, Undertaker, The Rock, the Nation of Domination. Like it was back in the '90s when it was really, really good, and really peaked. What do they call it? The Attitude Era, so to speak,
Yes.
which was like the best time. So little enough, I have strong ties inside of the wrestling world too, and it was interesting because even what is it? Was that last year or was it the year before? No, it was just after the pandemic when they started doing shows again. A friend of mine called me up and said, "Hey, Chris, your birthday is like, you want to go to a wrestling show?" Yeah, of course. Why not, man? Like that's old school. Of course, I'm still gonna go and enjoy it.
Hey, if we're up for it, maybe we can hang out one day.
Yeah, man.
Well, let me ask you this. I asked my friend Scotty. Uh, I call him Scotty, but his real name, that's his name. But you probably know him better as Raven. And he's like, I'm going to be honest with you. Well, my dad says the same thing. I have my head on my ass because I
Yeah,
have this, and I bet people say that to you too. You have your head up your ass. You have this great vision. You have everything planned out that you would want to do and everything, but it's not realistic. Everything that you did, you can do laps around me. You met celebrities. You have your own company. You are an inspiration for me because I have a bad habit of screwing things up. People are like, you can't be a wrestler because you can't see without your glasses. And to be in any entertainment world, you're setting yourself up for failure. Now, I'm on the outside looking in, and you're in the in crowd looking out. Can anyone with a learning disability or any type of disabilities follow in your footsteps?
of course. There's not a reason in the world, man. That's like telling somebody who doesn't have hands that they can't be a book writer. At the end of the day, as long as you're determined, you'll find a way. You will make friends with, like given that example, you can find someone that'll sit the right book where you can always find someone who will guide you and help put you into that right direction. There's no reason at all that anybody should ever not chase their dreams. I know a lot of people tend to fall into that rut of like a 9 to 5, but it's like, okay, that 9 to 5 might wear you out, but are you actually that tired? Or are you just not determined enough? And that's a question that each individual genuinely needs to dig deep down inside, and you need to ask yourself. It's like, do you really want to be there or not? Because if you do, you can do it. You want to be a wrestler? You want to wear glasses? I guarantee you, even at the end of the day, someone out there could make you a pair of glasses that would mold to your head, and it wouldn't affect you. You would still be able to. You'd still be able to chase that dream. There is no reason anybody should ever hesitate chasing what they love to do. And honestly, it's really disappointing that a lot of people actually do that. They just back down, they fall into their rut, and they just let it go. I mean, like I said, I'd let it go for 18 years. And as of the past 3.5 years, now I got up, I realized, I said, oh, a lot of people, oh, I'm almost 40 years old. Okay, cool. Well, I realize that, but you know what? I still look fairly young. I still have the energy to do it. And so why not go and do it? What's really holding you back? Why? Is it your other half? They don't encourage you. If it's something, and given a situation like that, your other half really doesn't love you. If they really love you, they will encourage you. Your family will encourage you. Your friends will encourage you. And then once they see you get there, you know who supported you in the beginning, and you know who's going to support you at the end too.
No, you're absolutely right. Now it's the last 3 minutes, so I'm gonna pass it over to you. But the last question, actually we can do the segment off the air. But with the last 3 minutes, I'm gonna pass it over to you. Was there anything you want to talk about? Anything you want to promote? I have no cards up my sleeve, so this is your time.
Oh man, of course, as far as like promoting, of course I'm going to promote myself as an actor. Follow me on Instagram, Christoph the Great, or you can just type in Christopher Emrich. The production company is Von Emrich Productions. I'm also a huge fan. I'm a collaborative partner with a studio down in Wilmington. My collaborative partner being Paula Baisden. It's called Citizen Studios. It's a nice little micro studio that we have down there. Man, but of course I'm going to promote you. Why not promote Keith Andrew? Not everything's about me. I tend to realize most people tend to get egos and tend to get selfish, and I've tried to humble myself a little bit and then take back. But I need to appreciate people like you who get me on their shows and help me cross promote myself. So of course, I've got to pipe up for you too, man. I appreciate you having me. Like this has been fun. I enjoy having nice, simple conversations, and it's funny. I've actually always had people tell me too. They said, "Chris, you got a radio voice." I'm like, I do. I said, what do I do with it? Like, I don't want to be on a radio. I still want people to see me, like, and they said, well, do a podcast. So instead, I just jump in podcasts with people like you. And I'm like, okay, well, let's just do podcasts instead. But I never wanted to do something on my own. Like, I'm kind of like, you have to have that conversation with somebody. You got to be able to bounce, conversations, no matter what the topic is. And I just have to have someone who feeds me. Otherwise, I could rant and carry on. I am the person that just won't shut up at the end of the day. Like, if you want to talk, we could talk. I am all about conversation, and I'm all about people, and I'm all about seeing reactions from people. Actually, here's a little cool note. We did a murder mystery event, and we played actors, and these people came in for the murder mystery event. They sat down, they had a bite to eat, and they thought they were just background actors. No idea. So I had to play an LA douchebag. Sorry, LA, but some of you are douchey. I will say that. You want to come at it. But anyway, so I actually had this guy so pissed off. He looks at me and he grabs this glass dinner plate off of a table. Because I was rude and crude as could be. Grabs this glass dinner plate off the table, and he looks up at me and he walks up and he goes, "Son," he goes, "I'm gonna smash this fucking plate in your face if you don't shut up." And I was like, in the back of my head, I'm like, "Oh, I've got this guy on the hook." So of course I look at him and I said, "I'd love to see that." I was ready to jump back. Of course, this is like the moneymaker. I was like, no, I please don't throw that glass in my face. I really don't want that to happen. But acting is acting. You got to fulfill the job, But anyway, that was probably the funnest thing I've done recently.
Yep, absolutely. I do have a couple questions for you off the air, so stay tuned.
Okay.
Now, for people who want to know, certain episodes will be aired on Instagram. Instagram will only be for my highlights, and definitely this will be on there. But for anyone watching, watch Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, all social medias. Like and subscribe. For us to do part 2, make sure to like, comment. Our goal is 100 views. And until we meet again, catch you later. Thank you, and have a good night.